So the question for you, Louise, is what do you think are the critical elements to get right when designing a partner program?
Okay, yeah, and I think, Margaret, as you said, I think in terms of what makes a good partner program, or what best looks like, I think that depends on what a vendor's priorities are, right? It's what do they want to achieve? What is good for one is not necessarily good for another. And same with your partner audience, because partner audiences vary absolutely massively depending on where you are, depending on the customers, and also sometimes depending on the services and the solutions that they're offering. So I think with those two things in mind, really, whenever I'm looking at designing programs and I'm talking to people, I say a fundamental place to start is you need to know your partner audience. You need to know who you're talking to, who your customers are, because in this environment, partners are our customers, and you need to be flexible with your program in order to meet the needs of your partner customers. And one size absolutely does not fit all, because partners can be different things depending on either the customer, the end user customer that they're selling to, or the solution and the service that they're selling. 15 years ago, partners fit into lovely, nice little buckets. You had your resellers and you had your service providers and you had your systems integrators. But now, one kind of organization can be all of those things at once to various different organizations. So it's got a lot more complicated, I think, as we all know. So you need to recognize that in understanding who your partners are. And then you also need to make sure that you recognize the value added behaviors and skills in your partners, because again, it's not just you as a vendor hitting your partners with a massive great big list of things that they have to do. It's much more of a mutual relationship, and again, allowing that flexibility to be there. Now, points-based systems are a way to take that flexibility into account, because you can weight the points rather than having kind of hard static requirements. But they do tend to be quite complicated, and the points-based systems I've seen and that I've designed and I've worked with, they work because there is actually a shopping list of requirements, and if you add points to it, it gives the perception of flexibility. Hidden in the background, they aren't always that flexible, but the points-based systems make it look like it's flexible. But at the end of the day, you want to be easy to do business with. You don't want to have your partners jump through loads of hoops, because they need to be going out developing business and doing things with you and for you, not spending time working out your partner program. It's slightly counterintuitive. So like I said, the dynamic has changed into more of an equal partnership between vendors and partners, because you are both of equal benefit to each other's business. So I think understanding who your partners are, who your partner audience are, and then defining your value proposition to them is fundamental. And to do that, you need to know what they look like. You need to know who they are. And the same way you would profile your customers for your ideal customer profile, you need to build your ideal partner profile. So you need to work out what your partners need from you to be successful, and also what you want from them. And what I find is once you've got that really high level definition, that gives you the foundations for your program, because identifying what you want from them will then tell you what they need to be able to do in terms of sales and technical skills. What do you want them to be competent in? What do you want them to be able to actually do in terms of support and servicing the customers, installation, involvement in the sales cycle? And that will help you build your enablement and your training paths. And then what they want from you gives you your benefit. You need to understand what motivates them. It's not all about what you want them to do, it's about what they need from you in order to develop and build their business as well. So if you understand those key kind of wants and needs and drivers of your partners, that is the absolute foundation of building your program, because you do need to be flexible, like I said, but you need to do it with a clear goal and a clear value proposition in mind, so that everybody knows the benefits of the partnership.
Yeah, thank you. There's a lot to unpack there. So mutual value, mutual benefit, right? And designing the program for that start from that perspective. Understanding who your partner is and what you want them to do. It seems foundational, but often you want partners to do everything, right? And it's also, I think, a process of prioritizing down to what you most need. And as you said, that helps you recruit as well. And then looking at the architecture and the different flavors, points-based systems, tiered programs, hybrid systems, right? I think there are a number available. I'll open up to the rest of the panel now. Anyone else got any comments to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's Kevin here. Hand up, points-based program over here at Itron. So dovetails perfectly. But the reality is, and kind of the example I'll give is, we built a points-based program from the ground up, sheerly out of simplicity, right? We partners weren't used to requirements, benefits, etc., and we felt that the points was just a helpful way to get them going. Will we have that forever? I'm not sure yet. We're in the middle of kind of doing some program evolution, but I think that our partners and Louise, you touched on it, is the voice of the partner was critical, because when we show them a draft, if I launched that draft, it would have failed. So working with the partner in an advisory capacity and saying, okay, is this going to work for you, etc. It kind of turned into kind of a teaming effort, right? And I really enjoy that as part of building the program from the get-go. And back to the point on a points-based program, I just think for every new partner coming into our program, and we're pretty selective about the partners who come in, they kind of appreciate the simplicity of it to a point. But I think, like what you said, Louise, in the background, it can get complicated. We've built some dashboards, et cetera, to make it a little bit easier. I wouldn't necessarily evolve the points-based program to more and more requirements based on what we are. I'd probably start moving away towards more tracks, to be honest with you. That's kind of what we're thinking about. But I think these are the things you got to consider when, depending on the maturity of the company, right? Whether you're starting a program from get-go or you're evolving your program.
Yeah, and I think it's, picking up something you just said, involving your partners in, if you've got an existing partner base, if you've got a couple of friendlies when you're starting out, to litmus test your program with them is really important. Because like you said, in your four walls you could think something looks great, and then you take it out and it doesn't hit the mark. But also, I always find that having those few partners to test things with as well, it's a really good way of getting them on board with you. Again, right from the beginning, it builds that partnership, and it builds that mutual trust. So partners they like to be kind of part of the family. So being able to be a sounding board and bouncing things off them is a good start for a partner relationship.
Yeah, I think the partner council can work really well. We do a lot as well. We have a lot of experience in that. I think what's super important is not to use the same usual suspect, right, after a while, but be super clear as to who the partners are that you want to bring in, and what are they bringing today to your business, right? And having different size of partners, right? I mean, in our situation, we cater for partners which go very much from very large multinational scaled organization to smaller partners. And it's super important in a global framework, trying to understand exactly which of those partners are contributing best, what are they bringing to the table. And yes, after that, I would say partner survey are super critical as well, to keep the pulse on the ground, to see what's happening, what do your partners like, what they don't like, and focusing on that partner experience, right? What does it look like if you put yourself in their shoes to interact with you as a vendor? Really go through that journey with them, and that sometimes it's a very good reality check in terms of what you think the experience is versus what the experience is, and it will really definitely drive roadmap improvement, and you will focus on what matters to them, and how you can increase not only their efficiency, I would say, but also your own internal operations. Like Kevin mentioned, it can be heavy to run a partner program, right? So ideally, you want your back-end processes to be also efficient, and your partner experience to be efficient. You got to look at both sides of the coin there.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, go on, Laura.
Yeah, going to say, that partner experience is really important. Again, when we're looking at building new programs and particularly recruiting new partners, if a partner comes and knocks on the door, and if the onboarding process is painful, if the contracting process is painful, if things take too long, if there's again too many hoops to jump through, you get put in the too hard basket. You're too hard to do business with. So that, a fundamental part of designing a program and a channel go to market overall is being easy to access, is being easy for partners to get in through the front door. And it's not just getting in through the front door. the partnership doesn't stop when a contract's signed. I've seen so many companies kind of think, hey, let's launch a channel, let's build a channel, launch a program, and let's recruit 50 partners, and then they kind of lose interest, and that's not the way to do it. So you need to make sure that, again, right from day one, you've got some value added things to give the partners. You've got some resources, you've got at least minimum kind of sales materials or something in order to help them grow and build their business with you. It's not just a case of getting them onboarded, getting them to sign a contract, and then leaving them to their own devices. You've got to have that continuity of partner experience in order to kind of keep them going on the journey.